I'll kick it off real quick, and I won't. I don't want to be spoilery since you're going to see it Wednesday, but I saw Fantastic
Mhm.
Four today, and it has been out for I think 2 days. Looks like it is probably going to be a hit this weekend. It might even make a little bit more than Superman did in its first weekend domestically. For whatever reason, Superman is struggling globally. There's a lot of idea out there that maybe the world is looking at a character that has been widely known as very American in a time when we are not um, particularly favored around the world is hurting Superman. So we'll see what happens. To me, I feel like the Marvel superheroes are just as um, American as Superman at this point. So we'll see how it does
Mhm.
domestically. So I watched this movie, and it's the third superhero movie. I think Captain America: Brave New World might have come out this year too, but if I put that one to the side, the three big superhero movies this year were Thunderbolts, Superman, and Fantastic Four. And I think for me, and talking to my kids, the general consensus is the order really is Thunderbolts was the best, Superman second, Fantastic Four third, and that is not necessarily a bad thing. Like Fantastic Four was actually really good. It's just I like the other two a little better. And I think this one's going to succeed. I think in our group chat that we have for with Pete and a couple people that used to be on the show. The sort of consensus too is that this is Fantastic Four is a movie that is very, very accessible. It doesn't require you to have any knowledge of the rest of the Marvel universe. Um, it's set in its own little pocket world. If you watch at the end of the movie, um, Jack Kirby is the guy that created the Fantastic Four. And so at the beginning of the movie, they say this is on Earth 828, which is a designation they give to basically say it's an alternate universe. So, they give Earths different numbers and universes different numbers. And they give this one 828. And what it was is Jack Kirby was born on 828, whatever year he was born. So they chose the number of the Earth based on Jack Kirby's birth date, which I thought was kind of a neat little Easter egg they show you at the end of the movie. But the movie is funny because it opens up in what is a very interesting decision to open up with Vanessa Kirby's uh, Sue Storm in the bathroom on the toilet. But it's because she's taking a pregnancy test. So like it's not graphic in any way, and it really most of that scene takes place outside of the water closet where Pedro Pascal's Mr. Fantastic is looking for something. I think it was iodine, and of course the movie just kicks off right away. You find out she's pregnant, which we have seen discussed in trailers, so that's not really a spoiler at all. It's a main driver for the movie. Um, and I'll say this movie is very like mom forward in a way. We come to find out that another significant character is who they are because of motherhood, and so it's really interesting, and I think um, ultimately by the end of the movie, Sue Storm, Vanessa Kirby feels like the most powerful character in this group of four. Um, and that's really, really kind of cool because you don't see, in a movie like this, and a lot of times she's got some cool powers and stuff, but they would make Pedro Pascal, they made Reed Richards, the strongest one. I mean, Thing is like kind of Hulk level strong, like he's really strong. Um, but at the end of the day, the one that does a lot of the heavy lifting is Sue Storm, and she does a great job. And the one thing I'll say, even though, like I said, I put this as like the third of the three big superhero movies this year, um, the acting is great in this. Everybody does an awesome job. Evan Moss Bacharach or whatever I know I butcher his name. Fantastic actor though. Is the Thing, and he does a great job. Vanessa Kirby is fantastic as Sue Storm. Obviously, Pedro Pascal, always awesome. Does a really good job playing this character that everybody's worried about him playing, and plays him in a way that feels really um, different from his other roles, and also um, feels really true to the character. He does a really good job. And then Joseph Quinn from Stranger Things as Johnny Storm is fantastic. I think it's funny that he got a lot of crap for being less of a um, kind of ladies' man than Chris Evans, Johnny Storm was in the old ones. But it's not. I don't know. I know he said that they were not doing that, but at the same time, they didn't give him a lot of opportunities. They didn't put him in the position to be, and they kind of joke about how he's still a ladies' man. They just don't make it as blatantly obvious. And when the Silver Surfer shows up, which is a female Silver Surfer, and explained very well and plays into the movie very well, played by the girl from what's the Ozark. I know her name. Hang on. It is Julia Garner.
Julia Garner.
Yeah, she's fantastic. But when she shows up, Johnny Storm's first instinct is to try and flirt with her a little bit. And so, like, yeah, they're saying he's not a ladies' man, but the only real interaction he has with a woman in the movie, he's flirting. So he's not that far off the mark. He's just not quite as like naughty as Chris Evans Johnny Storm was. And then Galactus, who is the big bad of the movie, is played by Ralph Ineson, who does a fantastic job too. He's been in a ton of stuff, but like never the star. Um, of course, his page isn't coming up when I click on it. Here we go. Um, but like recently, he was in Nosferatu. He was in The First Omen. Does a lot of voice work. He's got a fantastic voice. He was in The Pope's Exorcist with Russell Crowe. Um, but I mean, as soon as you see his face, I feel like he's one of those guys you see, and even if you don't remember what he was in, you recognize him. He's been around for a long time. And then there's some fun kind of cameo characters. Natasha Lyonne, who I love. It's just as a comedic actress, has a small role in this that isn't, um, it's character building for the thing, but not like pivotal in any way. It's just kind of a fun little spot for her in the universe. Paul Walter Hauser, who does a lot of good comedic work, plays Mole Man. Sarah Niles, if you've ever watched Ted Lasso, and is his therapist in Ted Lasso, and she's great. So there's just a lot of other good small parts in there. But all in all, I mean, the movie is really well done. The visually speaking, it's beautiful. It's set in this like alternate 60s futuristic, retro futuristic feeling world, and that just everywhere that they are just looks great. They did a really good job on the special effects. I read something too where recently Marvel, I forget who it was, but they noticed how somebody made a really great movie, visually speaking, but managed to spend a whole lot less money than what they had been spending. So Marvel's doing a much better job now of kind of reeling in their production costs and still making a high quality movie. And you can see that here. This one does not feel cheaply made, even though they made it for less than a lot of the movies that they made last year and the year before. So it visually speaking, it's great. So the movie opens up there having a baby. They What's nice about this one too, kind of like Superman, is that they kind of jump into a world where these guys are already established. They explain the origin story really quick and they kind of talk about it kind of in flashbacks, but they don't like hammer it home. It's just a quick explanation. They were out in space, they got hit by something, some radiation in space, they came back, they were, now they're the Fantastic Four. And so they're established as basically the heroes of their planet. There's no other, as far as we can see, no other superheroes or anybody else on the planet. And so they really are, the heroes of the planet. And so when there's this firestorm in the sky and Silver Surfer comes down, this is also in the trailer, so I'm not spoiling. Silver Surfer comes down. She's like, "Hey, I'm the Herald of Galactus. You guys are all going to die." He's gonna eat your planet, so hug your loved ones tight and good luck. And so they decide that they want to go up into space and meet Galactus and either try and bargain with him or defeat him or whatever. And so they go up there and they have that conflict, and then they come back, and it's just, again, I try not to not spoil things. I think my kids said what bothered them in the middle. My youngest said the middle was kind of boring. I didn't think so. I actually felt pretty compelled through the whole thing. Like I was like glued to the screen the whole time. So I didn't feel that way. There was definitely amongst my kids, and again, not me. Like I didn't think there was anything particularly problematic about it that I can name. But my kids felt like it just something in the middle just didn't quite work. Either they were kind of coming up with a solution to a problem and then failing, and then solution to the problem and failing, and they didn't love the kind of back and forth with that, but I was okay with it. I didn't have a problem with it. I think overall for me, like this movie was like a 7, maybe a 7.5. I think I said Superman was an 8, 8.5, and Thunderbolts was a 9. Like Thunderbolts was way up there for me. Like I thought that movie was great. So, when you compare these movies side by side, to me, you're not losing if you see any of them. I thought they were all great. I thought this one was great. If I had the time and money, I'd probably see it again. I'll definitely watch it multiple times when it comes out to streaming. So I definitely recommend it. I was looking at Rotten Tomatoes, and it's funny because I think Thunderbolts did really poorly at the box office, but Thunderbolts has an 88% from the critics, 93% from the audience. Fantastic Four has an 87% from the critics and a 93% from the audience. So like from the people that watched it and reviewed it, the numbers are very much the same. It looks like this movie's on track to kind of meet or maybe even beat Superman, which had a really, really good weekend. The first day, all we have is the first day sales right now. First day for Superman was 56 million. This one is 57 million. So it's like right there. And that's domestic, not worldwide. But domestically, it's doing really well. Um, and so I think, this one looks like it's going to be a success. I think Superman's going to keep cruising and be a success. Curiously, the Thunderbolts um, just never really did great. It had a $74 million opening weekend in total, um, but it didn't, like when you look at Superman and you look at Fantastic Four, they're around 125 million probably, maybe even more. People are saying 130, maybe even 150 for Fantastic Four by the time the weekend's over, domestic. And I think Superman already beat the Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts only had a total of 190 domestic. So, um, yeah, it's interesting to see, when you look at these ratings, these people put these movies side by side and think they're basically as good as each other. But for whatever reason, Thunderbolts just didn't do as well, and it's a bummer because I do think it's the best one. But on IMDb, Thunderbolts is a 7.3, and this one, Fantastic Four, right now is a 7.5. I think more ratings will come in, and we'll see kind of where it fits. Um,
Did it meet your expectations though?
I think so. I think so. Like I told everybody too, like that I talked to um when this summer slate kind of came out, I really was the most excited for Thunderbolts. Second was Superman. Third was Fantastic Four. So to see the ratings come out the way they did, um, doesn't doesn't shock me and it doesn't upset me. Um, I think they're all good. Like I said, I enjoyed it. I was not disappointed at all. I think
Right.
it was, again, well made, well acted, well directed, very creative in its visual take. It just all the same. And so looking at Superman 2 in context, a 7.6 on Rotten Tomatoes. So we got a 7.3, 7.5, 7.6. 83% from the critics, 92% from the audience. Like across the board, these three movies are all
Right.
rated effectively the same. And I think you could watch all three and have a personal preference about which one you liked more than the other without
Sure.
saying any one is necessarily better or
Better than
worse
the
than
other.
the other.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think as a comic book movie fan, I think we ate well this summer. Like I think it went really well. I'm really curious to see your take because you said you're going to watch this one on Wednesday.
So yeah,
And
Wednesday.
and I think this is the perfect movie for you in the comic book universe to watch because like I said, it doesn't require any knowledge of anything else at all. Explains to you everything about their world. Their world is separate from everything that's built in Marvel so far.
Right.
So they explain all the characters. You get a little sneak peek in the trailer, or sorry, during the credits of something coming down the line, which is tied back into the other universe.
Yeah.
But it's not going to blow your mind if you don't know what's out there, but it's also not going to hurt you to see it. So I think that was pretty awesome. And so I think for you it'd be a great film to see if you see Super. Did you see Superman?
Yeah.
You
We
did.
talked about it two
Yeah.
weeks
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
ago.
I was trying to remember if we did or not.
Yeah, yeah. That's
But
okay.
that's another good one because that's setting
Hmm.
up a whole new universe. It doesn't everything that has been out there beforehand didn't matter. So,
Right.
um, you
How does
know,
it compare to like I saw the 2005 one with Jessica Alba and Chris Evans? Would you say this is better, or
Oh
is it
yeah, yeah.
like,
I think this is much better.
really? Okay,
That one was a solid movie for its time. The sequel was worse. The second one was not great. But the first one was really good. Again, for its time, like if you look at IMDb, it's a
great.
5.7. So this is definitely like you're seeing a different quality level here.
Mhm.
But I enjoy the old one. It's actually a real bummer that what's his name? Julian McMahon passed away 2 weeks ago. The guy that played Doctor Doom and those two,
Mhm.
because he was only, I think he was only like 54 or something crazy. Like he was young, but he had cancer, and
Mhm.
he was
Yeah.
really positive about this movie. He's not in it. Wasn't going to make an appearance or anything, and but he's been really positive about the movie, and it was really unfortunate to see him pass away before he got to see it in the theater. But yeah, all in all, I would say it's definitely a movie that I think everybody that's just looking for something fun to watch can go watch. It's family friendly, much like Superman. There's nothing inappropriate in it. During the movie, Sue Storm actually gives birth, and it's not graphic in any way. And so, like, I feel
Yeah.
like there's no gratuitous violence. Like, there's nothing. You can take kids to see this movie,
Yeah.
and I think it makes it really good. So it's a great family film. I think it's going to do really well. And yeah, like I said, I think we're just having a good summer slate of superhero movies. So I'm excited to see how this one does and how Superman finishes off its run, and we'll see how they do.
Yeah.
So, all right.
I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm excited. Like, I really want to know what you think because, like I said, you haven't. You know, this one is outside of the universe, so it's a great one for you to watch because it
Is it a very
doesn't.
similar story to the original one in 2005 or completely different?
I would say it's completely different.
Okay.
Yeah, just everything about it feels different too. It did a really good job separating itself from that one because the
Mhm.
whole vibe is completely different. Like this is just it is such a retro futuristic 1960s feel. Like their car is funky looking, like it's all
Okay.
really cool. It has a very, very specific aesthetic, and I think that works really well for them.
Does that follow the comics more closely?
I don't even know that it does. I mean, I think it has. There's a lot of versions of the comics where, they
Mhm.
were the first group of superheroes and things like that. So it just depends on which ones you read. But generally speaking, they are in the current comic book universe. So it was a very specific decision for whatever reason. And uh, I think it works. I think it's an interesting choice, but I think it worked really well. And it makes it a lot of fun. It makes it a lot of fun to look at. Everything is eye catching and exciting. So
Okay. Yeah.
so yeah. So all in all, I'd say definitely give it a watch, and you're already giving it a watch, so we'll get a second take on it next week. And actually, Andrew's back next week, so we'll probably talk about this again with some more spoilers and stuff at that point. Uh, but yeah,
Okay.
so we can jump on to the next thing, which I think I will have you talk about Trainwreck first.
Well, we got to start with some real shit right now, I guess.
Yeah, we do.
So, as an avid cruiser, I've been on 13 cruises, and my one friend, as we were walking back from an evening out and just around the neighborhood, she said to me, "Have you seen the Poop Cruise documentary?" And I had said, I bypassed it on Netflix, but no, is it worth the watch? And she's like, I think you'd appreciate it as someone who's gone on many cruises. And she was right. It was fascinating. So this takes place in I think 2013, 2014, and it took place on a Carnival cruise, I believe summertime, and it was supposed to be like a 3, 4 day cruise that left from I think Florida and went to either Mexico or some sort of island. They went south, and then they're supposed to come back to this either Port Canaveral, Tampa, somewhere in Florida. And things go completely wrong on the last day on the cruise as they're at sea. And that evening, after everything's going pretty swiftly at like 4 or 5 in the morning, they just hear this noise. And at that point, the electricity starts going out within like an hour or two. And they notice that like the toilets are making weird noises and they don't flush. And at that point, they're kind of stuck on the water. Their whole system shuts down, and everyone is, they make announcements because this is unprecedented. They're like, oh man, like, hey guys, so we don't really have an option given that the toilets aren't working. So we're going to issue you guys black bags, sorry, red little plastic bags where you can do number two in. And it's like you can't make this up, and it's just wild. So everyone's freaking out because at that point they're like, all right, I guess we go as our day as normal initially. And then it gets really serious where they make an announcement from, I guess, the main deck. And they're like, well, until someone like rescues us, we're kind of shit out of luck. And I think it takes like 3 or 4 days, and people are trying not to go to the bathroom because it just, the smell was so bad. And then I guess the system that controls their pipes and stuff gets all messed up where poo starts like spewing into like on the floors of the ship onto the carpet and stuff. So people are like, they don't know what to do. And people are pretty much on like the top decks trying to avoid this as much as possible by sleeping on lounge chairs. And they're like, it gets from like luxury vacation to trying to like survive as best they can until people get rescued. And a lot of people at that point, they're like, they didn't want to go to the bathroom. Apparently, there was like one working toilet, and there were rumors. Everyone started to go to that one working toilet, and then even that like gets all messed up. And then the other part that was crazy too is that like I guess without like some of this electricity, like they couldn't do anything for food. So it came down to just sandwiches. And like the chef was talking about it, he's like, there's sandwiches, and we literally had to make sandwiches for like the last day, and then people are fighting over food. And then at a certain point, everyone just was like, all right, well, fuck it, we're done. We're just going to take the remaining liquor. So people just start getting drunk on the pool deck and going wild. And you hear like people being interviewed, and one guy was like, yeah, at one point people were so drunk, like I saw this couple like having sex on a lounge chair just in front of everyone. Just complete like
Just chaos.
craziness. And I was just laughing. I was like, yeah, you know how like with COVID, how people once things shit hits the fan and there are no rules, this is literally what happens. People's true colors come out. They're selfish. People start fighting. And yeah, it gets pretty bad until I think eventually they get saved and are able to get the ship moved to, I think, Texas at that point, because they really just need to get them back to land. But it was a complete disaster. Luckily, these people got like their money back, and I think the option to do another cruise. And some people are sworn off cruising,
Hmm.
moving forward. But it sucks because they were stuck at sea for like 2, 3, 4 days. No, I think it was more like at least 3 to 5 days, and they couldn't use the bathroom. Like they had to resort to these red like bags that you would see in like a lab or like a doctor's office. And people are freaking out. They don't know what to do with the electricity going out. Like they don't have as many food options. So all of these like grand dinners that they have and lunches, done. You're done. That's it. All out of food. They showed this guy who's a chef on board, and he was like sleeping one day, and then he gets, I get, because then he's on one of the lower levels. He goes barefoot and off his bunk bed, and he steps all into poo, basically. It's so disgusting. So, yeah, I feel bad for the people that were on the ship. The other thing, too, is this young girl and her father. Parents were recently divorced. She went away with her dad, and the mother, who had like pretty much not sole custody, but had a majority of the time with the mom, she could not contact her daughter for days. And then she found out on the news what was going on. She was worried sick about her daughter because she's like, she's with her ex-husband, and she knew that the ex-husband wasn't doing anything like bad, but she was just very concerned given that this is someone that lives with her a majority of the week or majority of the time, and there was nothing that she can do, and all their cell phones went dead. It was pretty bad. A little bit like Hurricane Sandy from what I recall, in terms of just how there was a lot of chaos, and yeah, you couldn't really use technology. So it kind of reminded me of that, but all on a ship, and you couldn't even use the bathroom. It was pretty bad.
Yeah, you're talking about a basic human need, and to take that away is going to make people just crazy.
There were women that were being interviewed. They were on their one of them went for their bachelorette party, which I'm like, oh, fun, bachelorette party.
Oh,
Everything was going well, and then she's like, we had to take Imodium so we could like prevent ourselves from going to the bathroom. It was just crazy.
oof. Yeah, that's horrible.
Yeah. So definitely a train wreck for sure. Um, I don't know. I've been on so many cruises, so I was just fascinated to see. I'm like, how about this deck? Like, what did they do here? And then, like, the main walking deck, people were just sleeping on lounge chairs because it probably smelled so bad in the cabins from
Yeah.
all the poo. Because a lot of the water and everything in the toilets were coming up. So I don't know if it was like even safe for people to be in their own staterooms at a certain point.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so weird because you think like you're in the ocean, like shouldn't you just be able to pump that stuff out somewhere
That's
like
what I
easily?
thought. Like,
Like,
why can't they just shoot it? Like, not that I'm like, hey, let's dirty the ocean, but like, I mean, fuck it, it's the ocean, right? Like,
yeah, I
just
mean it's a drop in a bucket really at the end of the day.
yeah, like just poop in the bag and bombs away. Like, I don't know, maybe
Yeah.
you fish, but whatever. But I guess that wasn't really what they resorted to. I don't really know, but it was really disgusting. And I think the part where you start seeing it, like giving Titanic vibes when the water starts rising, but like this is poop water and just
Yeah.
like going and oh, it's just so gross. So yeah, and then people are like living on these decks, like you would see like homeless people on the street,
Yeah.
just sheet over them. And it was just such horrible conditions. They were probably so happy to like come home and take a clean shower.
I would think if this was your first cruise, you'd be done. You'd just be like never ever again.
How could I? Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so too.
If you've done a handful, then you'd be like, well, that was a shit show for
That
lack of
was
a
a
better
shit
word,
show
but
and a
like
fluke.
yeah, but like that doesn't happen. It's like if you go on a cruise, you know that there's a few things that are a given. Number one, you're completely isolated, right?
Yeah,
Like this is where you are. So anything that happens in there,
right.
there was the COVID cruise. They talked about that one. They didn't do a show about it, but like the COVID cruise happened, and that was a big deal. And then you've
Asia.
got the ones where they were doing cruises south of South Africa, and those were getting capsized because of the just the ocean down there. And then they're like, hey, maybe we shouldn't go down here anymore. But like when you go on a cruise, there are
Right.
certain givens. Like it's like flying when you're in a plane. You have to be cognizant of the fact that you could crash. You probably
Right.
won't. Like the odds are actually really against you ever getting in a plane crash, but
Correct.
it does happen. Say you have a water landing, they talk about what you have to do in case of a water landing. Like there's
Sure.
expectations and possibilities when you go on a cruise that you think probably don't apply to you. And in most cases, 99.99% of the time, they don't apply to you. But
Well, as far as I'm concerned, no one died, so it wasn't like that big of a deal.
yeah,
But
it
it's still
could
just
have been
like
worse. But
it could have been way worse. Like I was talking to my friend, I was like, I mean, there've been many cruises. I could just name on like one hand, like really bad ones. The one during COVID where like people actually died because of like people getting sick. Remember, it was
yeah,
like a
yeah.
2, 3 week cruise and everyone was put in like isolation.
hmm
And
Yeah, and
then
they couldn't come into port because the whole ship was yeah.
that's bad, Titanic, and then the poop cruise. Those are three really
Yeah.
bad scenarios. And there are thousands of cruises every single year. So as far as
Yeah.
I'm concerned, I think we're okay.
Yeah, yeah. I think generally speaking, you're going to be okay on a cruise. But at the same time, like I said, if it was your first time, you'd be like, nah, I don't need to do that again. Like that'd be traumatic. Like you would always associate those two things together. When you have other things to associate it with, and you put them all
Yeah.
together, it's a different thing. But yeah, yeah, I can see how people would be very, very turned off.
Yeah. Just the behaviors though that were described, it definitely felt like a movie that you would see where there's like an apocalyptic event. Just how people go mad.
Yeah, 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 for sure. Like the utter chaos of something when like I said, if you take away basic human like needs, right,
Hmm.
of the people are going to go nuts. Like it's crazy. So yeah, and especially somewhere at sea, and then on top of it, I'm sure somebody's out there being like, "Hey, we're in international waters. The laws don't apply anyways. We can go
Correct,
nuts." Like,
exactly. They're like, haha, I'm gonna have sex on the water with my wife,
yeah,
like
you
on a
can't get in
lounge
real
chair.
trouble.
Who
Yeah,
cares?
yeah.
Wild.
So,
This one guy, he said he was stuck on, I guess he was like new, he was engaged and he was with his like future in-laws. And like, I guess they had only met a few times, but this was the most that they were going to be spending together. And he's like, how am I going to like tell my in-laws, like, I have to poop? Like, just super funny
yeah,
and awkward. I was like, because it's a human,
yeah.
normal thing to
It's
do.
yeah. I guess in that regard, you'll be closer to them than you ever thought you were going to be.
Right,
Right?
exactly.
Like,
This is the life experience you'll remember forever. So very funny, but well, not funny to them probably at
yeah, yeah.
a certain
Yeah,
point. Like
just
people,
like the other one, like it's not funny what happened, but at the same time, because we're on the outside, didn't have to do it, you can look at it and kind of laugh and just be like, God, that sucks real bad.
oh, it does, just like seeing everything that was going down. But again, as an avid cruiser, but I also had like many questions too, like why weren't they on this deck or why? I'm sure there's different precautions now because of that. There
Yeah,
has to be.
yeah, I think so. Yeah,
One scene which I thought was like wild. So their cruise is just kind of stuck, right? And they have no electricity, nothing. And then this other cruise goes by, right? And it's literally like everyone's partying and just like staring at them. And everyone like on the other side are like, fuck you.
yeah, I would be pissed if if you're watching somebody go by and there's not like some way for them to just evacuate you or something. Like you would think they would at least get people off the boat somehow.
Well, that's the thing. And I think they gave them supplies or something like that, but everyone's holding their phones out, trying to get like phone signal with the other ship that's still working, that's passing by. But they were so pissed on it was like one Carnival cruise to, I don't know if it was another Carnival cruise, I forgot, but the other cruise that's going by, everyone's just partying and like living it up. And everyone's got their phones like trying to get signal to call their loved ones with everything going by. And it's basically they're like, and they're just like partying on the boat that's going by. Like, F you guys, too bad. We're
Hmm.
having the time of our lives, and you guys are sitting in your own shit. Like, that's
Yeah.
just, it was crazy. So, um, that part was funny. I was like, I wonder if like those people on the other ship like knew how bad it was. Probably not.
Yeah, even if you heard how bad it was, like I feel like you wouldn't believe it. you know,
Yeah.
you just kind of be like, okay, yeah, that sounds shitty to
But
use.
also,
Like,
they couldn't get in touch with anyone. It seemed a little like there's no way. Why does it take that long? There should
yeah,
be
it's
like
weird.
there should be like police out in the ocean, surveillance or something. Be like, oh, that ship's not moving. Let's check in there.
Yeah, we have an entire crew of people called the Coast Guard that should be out. Like, I feel like something better should have happened. Like, they should have been evacuated. Now, I know there's, 1,000 people on a ship or whatever. It's not like you can just pull up a single boat and pull everybody off. But, there's other boats you can get out there and take,
There's no
20.
reason why they should have been there from 3 to 5 days, just stuck and literally. There's no
Yeah,
reason. But they
yeah.
also should have like a communication thing, like, hey, this ship's not responding within a couple of hours. Maybe we should fly a plane and like see what's up, and maybe like send a boat out there. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like this happened to me and my brother. Me and my brother were traveling sadly for my cousin's funeral. My cousin passed away, and this was a long time ago now, but we went there when we were coming back from Washington. We were coming from Washington to California. We were waiting for our plane. We got notice that there was something wrong with the plane. Like one of the windows, there was frost in between the windows or whatever. And so they were like, okay, well, we're going to delay you. We were delayed the entire day because somehow every plane that came through, there was something wrong, some reason they couldn't do it. And I looked at my brother and I said, I know what they're doing. They have chosen to take one plane full of people and ruin their day rather than spread it out to a bunch of different flights and inconvenience a bunch of people. It's easier to refund, you know, 200 people than it is 600 people or to offer something to this big group of people. So we were the ones that got the shit end of the stick. They just said, fine, you guys, are out of luck.
Right.
We'll compensate you in some way. And we did. We got free tickets. We turned around and the next summer went to Arizona for spring training and saw baseball. And like it was fine, but like I understood the business decision behind it, even though they were really shady about it.
Yeah.
Um, because I think we ended up on a flight at like 10 o'clock at night when there was less people on,
Right.
and we didn't even go to our own airport, so they paid for our cab to take us back because we flew into SFO and had to get taxied to Oakland. But yeah, so I mean I can see how if this carnival, right, you're not going to be like, hey, let's take half of these people and pack them into another carnival cruise that's going by and then make those people upset and these people upset and then have to deal with that. You just take one group of people and say, hey, we'll deal with the consequences of this one group instead
Yeah.
of, dealing with everything, which is it's smart business, but it feels like bad business. So,
Yeah. It is what it is.
yeah.
But I mean, these people, if they wanted to take another free cruise, they could have.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
yeah. And like, yeah, it was not good. So, and it was short too. I think it's like under an hour. It's a very short.
Yeah, yeah, I think that like all the Trainwreck ones I think are pretty short.
Yeah. But fascinating watch. True story from 2013, 2014, maybe 2012. It was at least over 10 years ago. But yeah, I got a little bit of a kick out of it, that's for sure. And my friend recommended it to me, knowing that I go on cruises and
Yeah.
have a history of cruises, but I was not familiar with this cruise. I don't know where I was. I know it was in college and during this time or grad school, but clearly was not, I don't remember this story on the news. The poop
I
cruise.
do. Like I remember that's when they said they were doing it, I was laughing because I was like, I remember this happening. I didn't know the details. Like I mean, I knew enough of the details. There was
Sure.
sewer problems and nobody could get off the boat. But yeah, I do remember it happening, but I didn't remember when. I would have guessed it was like 5 or 6 years ago because my whole life timeline is thrown off. I think by COVID, I think I lost track of what time means
What
anymore.
years things?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know when anything happened anymore,
Mhm.
um, but yeah, it feels more recent than it sounds like it was. But yeah, I do remember it happening. So
Wild.
yeah. So all right, well we'll move on. I'll move on real quick. I watched a movie. It's on Hulu right now, and when it came out in the theaters, I remember wanting to see it because it looked kind of interesting. It looks like it was a complete box office flop. It was a $20 million budget, made $4 million worldwide. And it's called Locked, and it stars Bill Skarsgård and Anthony Hopkins. And uh, for it's really 99% of the movie is just these two. And as a matter of fact, most of it is Anthony Hopkins' voice and Bill Skarsgård himself. And so the gist of the movie is that Bill Skarsgård is calling him a deadbeat dad is kind of mean, but he's not doing his part really. He's not great about making money. He's a loser. He's got a daughter that he loves. Like he genuinely loves his daughter. He's just not good at it. And so he's split up from his, ex-wife or ex-girlfriend or whatever. He wants to get back with her, but she's like, "No, you suck." And he's like behind on child support, but he's trying to pay child support, but he just doesn't make any money. Like nothing is going his way. And so his car is in the shop, and so he misses picking up his daughter. That's how the movie opens. He doesn't have the money to get the car out of the shop. And so he goes out and tries to, commit some petty crimes to make some money. And so the way it goes is, he's walking down the street and he's trying car doors, trying to see if he can get into cars and steal stuff out of cars that he can potentially sell so that he can get his car back, so that he can see his daughter. Like that's his end goal really is to see his daughter, but he's going about it the wrong way. And he comes across this parking lot and there's this very fancy looking black shiny SUV with blacked out windows. It looks great. And he grabs the handle and it opens right up. And he jumps in and he starts, you get in there and the leather looks incredible. Like this looks like a hundred something $1,000 luxury vehicle. And so he starts going through everything and there's nothing in there that he needs. And after a minute, he's like, screw it, I'm going to get out. And he tries to get out and the door is locked. He cannot get out of the car. And so the next couple of minutes is him trying to get out any way he can. He's kicking the windows, he's screaming, he's kicking the roof of the car because it's got a clear sunroof, doing all this stuff. But the way this car is built, it is literally a trap. And so no matter how much noise he makes, you can't hear him outside the car at all. The windows are blacked out, so you can't see him inside the car at all. Nobody knows he's in here. There's no proof. And the way that this guy has built the car, it also blocks cell phone reception. So he can't call out, can't let anybody know he's there, nothing. He's now officially trapped in this car. And so after a few minutes, after him, kind of going crazy and losing his mind, at one point he tears off part of the door and then scratches himself in the arm. So he's bleeding on his arm. Um, he, he digs around in the glove box and finds a gun and it's loaded. And so he's like, well, I'll shoot out the glass, which bulletproof glass, the bullet bounces off and goes into his leg. So now he's bleeding out of his leg and the phone starts to ring inside the car. Like the car, the dashboard starts to ring like there's a call coming in. And he tries to ignore it. And the only thing it says on there is answer me. It's like the contact name is answer me. And so ultimately he ends up answering it. It's Anthony Hopkins. And he basically, explains he's like, I'm a doctor. I've only got so many months to live, and so I'm doing this social experiment, trying to see, how bad people react in bad situations. And it's basically, he's like, I'm not a bad guy. And then later on in the movie, he's like, yeah, I'm kind of a bad guy. He's like, I really want to screw with you because you're a bad guy. And so, the movie itself is, I mean, that's really the entirety of the movie when you break it down. It's just this dude locked in a car, kind of being tortured, and it lasts more than a day. It goes through several days. So he's got no food, he's got no nowhere to use the bathroom, all this stuff, and so it's torture in a way, right? Like it's this very, and oh yeah, and the seats are all electrified. So if he does something wrong, dude has cameras set all around inside the car. So when Bill Skarsgård's character is mouthy or being shitty, he tases him. If he swears, he tases him. Like he's just absolutely torturing this guy inside the car because of the decisions that he made. And from an acting standpoint, this movie is fantastic. Like Bill Skarsgård's character, you can feel everything that he is going through, right? Like he does a great job He plays this kind of New York, Eastern character brilliantly. Anthony Hopkins, as he can do so well, plays a fantastic villain. Like he comes off as kind and like an old man, but at the same time, you can tell he's not a good guy. Like
Do you
he
have his
is,
accent or no?
yeah, he is just classic Anthony Hopkins and
Okay.
just, I mean, he's bad. Like he really wants this guy to die. And he wants him to die in the car. And at one point he's like, I've done this 6 times before you. And, basically, I don't know if he says I've never let anybody go or he said, no, nobody's ever called the police on me afterwards. And, kind of the implication is they never got out of the car to do so.
Mhm.
And he's pointing out, he's like, the city is broken. He's like, you're going to go missing and nobody's going to call the cops because they don't have the time. They don't have time to deal with this stuff. So you can do whatever you want.
Right.
Um, and oh yeah, later on, as we start to find out just how crazy Anthony Hopkins' character is, and I'm gonna spoil some of this because like I think it's a fun watch, but I don't think
Yeah.
there's anything about this movie that is innovative, other than the idea that of like how he trapped him. But later on in the movie, Anthony Hopkins takes control of the car and drives. So he takes Bill Skarsgård's character on a drive and scares the shit out of him a couple of times. But then he comes into this back alley where these two guys are just beating this guy up. And he pulls up in the car with the headlights on and he's like, look, these people have no shame. They know I'm here and they're still beating this guy up. And so he honks the horn. One guy comes towards him and tries to show that he's got a gun in his belt, acting all tough. And then
The car
Anthony
runs him over.
runs him over. So it's the first time we've seen Anthony Hopkins' character full on kill somebody because he kills this guy. And so he chases this other guy down a back alley where there's a fence. And
When you say chasing him, like, but with the car.
yeah, and he
Like,
smashes
you
the
don't
dude.
actually physically see Anthony Hopkins at all in this movie, do you?
You do later in the movie. Like he finally ends up in the car with him later in the movie, but not for a long time. And that was one of the things that really struck me is that like I felt like the movie was coming to a head. Like I felt we were kind of at the climax of the movie, and I looked at the time and we were only halfway through. So
Uh,
like there's some pacing issues in here and some things like that made it less than stellar. Um,
how long is it, Kevin?
I want to say it was 2 hours long. I actually have the page up here. I can tell you. It is, and oh, it's only an hour and 35 minutes. So it's shorter than I
Really?
thought it was. It felt longer than that. And like I said, I wasn't necessarily feeling like the movie should have been over, but the pacing of the movie felt like the movie was just about over, like where it was going. And then it jumped into Crazy Town where he starts running people over and killing them. And then ultimately, Anthony Hopkins gets in the car with him, and they go through their stuff, and Bill Skarsgård is able to take over the car, crash the car, and get out and get back to his daughter. And then you have your. There's only two ways a movie can like this end. Either he dies, right, horribly, and it's like a life lesson for everybody watching the movie, or our hero lives and learns something about himself and then goes off to be a better dad, which is what we get at the end of the movie. Um,
Anthony Hopkins is 87 years old, Kevin.
Oh, he is, and by no means is this like an active role for him. Like he gets in the car and he looks old. Like he does not, we're not talking Silence of the Lambs, young, Anthony Hopkins. He's definitely an old man. Um, but he plays the part so well. He's just so bad. And like it's an interesting juxtaposition because Bill Skarsgård has done bad things, but he's not a bad guy. Like
Yeah.
he's putting himself in front of other people, and that's kind of his lesson to learn is that he puts himself above other people, and doesn't care about other people. But Anthony Hopkins is like sinister. Like he wants to torture somebody and kill other people, because he sees them as bad. He wants to be judge, jury, and executioner, and it's not a terrible movie. There's just nothing special about it. So like when I look it up on IMDb, it's a 5.8. When I look it up on Rotten Tomatoes, it did a little better. It was 64% from the critics and 73% from the audience. Like it wasn't terrible. It was produced by Sam Raimi, who is a great horror director, but he didn't actually direct it. It was directed by a guy named David Yarovesky, who I've never heard of. Um, but like, it's interesting because if I think about it from what he did with the actors, granted, they're two really great actors, and he didn't have to do a lot, I don't think.
Right.
But they do a really great job. Like, they are both very good in their parts. And for if you look at the movie for what it was, the genre that it's in, it's interesting in that regard.
Mm.
Like, again, this little torture box that a dude can't get out of, he's trapped in there for a couple of days. Um, it's it's kind of brutal. But I mean, it's not like Saw level brutal, right? Like you're not killing everybody around, but it has its moments. But if you're looking for something that they called it horror or advertised it as horror, and I wouldn't put it there. Like for me, it's more of a thriller than a horror film. Um, but it's interesting. Like it was a fun watch in an hour and 35 minutes, even though it felt a little longer to me. Isn't a long watch. So if you're looking for something in that vein, I think it's worth watching, especially at home the summer seems very different than in the theaters. Like the theater has a very packed like load of movies that are coming out over the summer. TV kind of dies off over the summer. So this is like a good thing to watch at home if you're looking for something like this.
Never
Be
saw previews for this, Kevin. So this was obviously short release or just not shown in many theaters, it sounds like.
Let me I
Came
don't
out
know
in
if it'll
March, it's showing.
tell me now. Yeah, I don't think it's going to say. But I mean, the opening was under $1 million. It made, like I said, 4 million worldwide. It just didn't do very well.
Yeah.
I actually remember seeing the trailer for it, which is why I was excited when I saw it on Hulu.
Okay.
Um, and I remember, like, I was like, "Oh, cool! The concept is cool. Like, it'll be good. The actors are great."
Yeah,
And
really good actors. That's the thing.
yeah,
I
I
don't
feel
remember
like that's
seeing.
where a lot of the budget went was to these two guys. Um, and they really do. They do a great job. And if you're going to put two guys in a movie where it's only two people, um, they're not a bad two people to pick. Like they really they play their parts beautifully. And so
Yeah.
yeah. This released in March of this year. Like it's pretty much brand new. This is the first time it came to a streaming service that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, if you're looking for something in that genre to watch,
Mhm.
um, it is it's fun. It's fun and it's good to see and predictable in a lot of ways.
Okay.
Because that genre is either it ends like something like Saw where it's a horrible kind of ending, which the first Saw has a great twist at the end.
They
Um,
all have great twists, Kevin. It's Saw.
yeah, this is not that movie. This is a very
Yeah,
straightforward film.
sure.
Ends the way you would expect it to. Most of the things that happen in the movie happen the way
Yeah.
you would expect them to. But like I said, it was fun. It was fun for what it was, and the performances are great. They really are great. So it's out there, and if you're looking for it, go give it a watch. But yeah, so we can move on. I think we should talk about Sirens because we didn't get to talk about it last week.
Sirens, sirens,
Um,
sirens.
yeah,
Yes.
yes, yes. The movie, the show that got its name because of uh,
Text message.
yeah, from text messages in the beginning of the movie that we never see again.
Yeah.
So this is a 5 episode show on Netflix starring um, girl from
Megan,
Drop, yeah, Megan
Todd,
Fahey,
Katie,
the girl from Supergirl, Millie Alcock, and then Julia,
Julianne
no,
Moore.
Julianne Moore. And yeah, I'll let you
Set it
lead
up.
here. Yeah, because you watched it first. I think I watched it because you were watching it. I wasn't going to watch it. And one thing I'll say, I didn't realize that it was as almost comedic as it was. Like it felt funnier than I expected it to be. So yeah, go ahead.
It's
And
got a very, and I didn't see, was it The Perfect Couple?
mhm.
Or what was the one that you saw
Yeah,
with
I think it's called The Perfect Couple with she was
Nicole
in it
Kidman?
again, I think, and Megan Fahey was in that one. Nicole Kidman,
Yeah.
a
It
handful of
shows
other
a
people.
lot between, wealth distribution.
Hmm.
Takes place on an I don't know if it's supposed to be like somewhere near like Nantucket, I believe.
Yeah, that's what it felt like. Yeah.
Summer home in New England, and Julianne Moore plays Michaela Kell, who is someone who has, I guess it's a non-profit for rescuing birds.
Hmm.
Is that what it
Yeah.
is? Yeah, rescuing birds, and every year they have this gala to celebrate this cause. And her personal assistant is played by Millie Alcott, who is Simone, who we come to find has run away from her upstate New York life. And we come to find that her sister, who's played by Megan Fahey, who is her character's name is Devin, comes to find her sister because their father is going through dementia and
Hmm.
they don't know how much more time he has. And at this point, she wants her to come back so that she can help her because this is like a lot to take on as, the only child who is able to support at this point. And she doesn't know or hasn't seen Simone, I believe, in what, like a few months to a year.
It
Doesn't
sounds like
know
it's
what
been a while. Yeah, for sure.
it's been a while. I believe they're in, what is it, Buffalo? Where they
Yeah,
where
they're
they
from Buffalo. Yeah.
from Buffalo, and the father's like out of his mind at this point with dementia. Megan Faggy leaves him with this guy that she's, I guess, hooking up with at work, who we come to find is married, and she goes and travels like 14, 16 hours, takes a ferry over to this island, which I think they give a fake name, but it's essentially like somewhere in New England, figure
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Nantucket.
I forgot about
And
the ferry. Yeah, I forgot about that. So it is an island. Yeah.
it is an island. And at least I think they stay there all year long, but I think other people come to visit just for the summer.
Hmm.
So Simone comes from like a very rough background. You come to find that she was like abandoned as a child and put in foster care. Mother died, and father was just a mess and did not take care of specifically Simone. So she has that trauma. So for her, it's I need to be in the place where I'm cared for and I'm needed. And this is how she, after college, I believe she started going to law school and she ended up deciding like this isn't for me. And then she is inspired by Michaela, who's played by Julianne Moore. So she decides to interview and come for work for her. And they're like best friends at this point. They're best friends. She works for her, she's her personal assistant, and everything's going jolly as far as we know. And then all of a sudden, Maggie Figgy's character, Devin's like, I'm taking you home. Like, I don't know what La La Land you're in, like living with all the rich people, but I'm taking you home. She's like, I'm not going anywhere. So at a certain point, Julia Moore's like, who is this? She's like, this is my sister. Um, and at that point, Simone says, I don't want my sister here. We don't have like the best relationship. She wants nothing with her past to basically come into this island. So Julianne Moore's character Michaela asks her to leave, and Devin's not giving up. She wants her sister back. So she, of course, ends up storming the property late at night, and she gets caught, and then she gets put in like or island jail at
Hmm.
that spot. And yeah, and then finally she convinces her sister, like, can I just stay here? I need to stay and whatnot. This is like the busiest weekend because this is the gala weekend, and
Yeah.
you realize like things aren't as perfect as you would think. Simone's having sex with a neighbor who's like a good friend of Michaela's cousin, and Michaela is married to a man who is played by Kevin
Yep.
Bacon, and
And
his name is
he's the
Peter.
actual rich one, right? He's the
He is the
billionaire.
actual rich one. I forgot what he does. Like he's some sort of business.
Yeah.
And apparently he fell in love with Michaela, who was, I guess, his attorney like 10 years prior. And he ended up leaving his first wife for Michaela. So his relationship with his kids is kind of broken at this point. And Simone, who Millie Alcock plays, is really just trying to please Michaela, and she also is like balancing all of these other secrets, like where Peter has been. You come to find like he was visiting his kids, and Michaela wants her to go snoop on him to see what he's up to. Meanwhile, she's having sex with uh, a family friend who happens to live next door. So there's just like a lot of secrets, but she's also trying to appease Michaela because this is the place where she feels, I think, the most safe being in this place. I think it started off good, but then it got a little ridiculous, in my opinion, Kevin. I thought it was a,
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I think like I said, it got more comedic than something like Perfect Couple. For me, that actually worked. That actually made it more entertaining for me because it was ridiculous,
yeah.
um, but it was fun. Um, I it was in two like Drop just finally released. I think it's on HBO right now. So I just watched that last weekend. And I think everything you said in your review of it a while back was like spot on. Like that movie was just like you're like, when should somebody have left? Like it was just a mess. Like there's no reason that dude should have stayed the whole time. Like I get that she is
Oh, on
beautiful.
the
Like
date? Oh, yeah.
yeah, like Megan Fahey's gorgeous. Like she looks fantastic in that movie. But like if I was dude, I'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna
Bye.
go. This is too weird. And
Yeah.
like and so but to see her in that role where she's very, she's a mom, so she's matronly, she's very put together, she's very pretty and calm, to then see her in this role where she is a mess.
He is a
Like,
mess.
but she does a great job. Like she's actually really good at that character. So it's fun to see her range because I think even in White Lotus, she was more put together in that too. So like this kind of train wreck character that she is a lot of fun to watch. And then Millie Alcock is a mess in a different way. Like she has a ton of childhood trauma that we find out about as the show goes on. Like she's been through some really bad stuff, like really bad, and like she blames her dad for a lot of it because he was an alcoholic and didn't take care of her.
Pure
But like,
neglect.
but
Yeah.
worse things happened to her before he was a bad dad. Like her story is it's a mess. Um, and so you know, again, this movie is ridiculous, but it almost, or not movie, but show. But there's another thing too, where I feel like they were trying to kind of red herring us with the idea of how like mystically magical cult like Michaela is between what was really going on. And it feels like we're getting almost like a Stepford Wives kind of show at first, and
Right.
then it takes a swerve in a completely different direction. And it's almost like the show didn't quite know what it was, and they kind of made it up as they went along. I think
I
that's
thought
where.
there were going to be mermaids in it. I was very disappointed.
Well, yeah, I mean, even Sirens kind of implies that it's because like the women are like in control of the
Seductive.
men
Yeah.
or like something, and that's not what it is at all. And um, I think it's just in what they like the idea of what they were doing, I think was
Right.
inconsistent throughout.
Hmm.
Um, and I think the ending was, even though it feels like maybe Simone got a happy-ish ending, like for me, I'm like, that was kind of a tragic ending because you know how it's going to end for her down the line. Like she's good right now, but at the same time, where her story starts and another character's story ends, you know how her story is going to end.
Yeah.
It's not going to go her way.
It's just a
Um,
girl with really bad daddy issues, and she's
big
going,
time, big
yeah.
time.
Also, I didn't buy the fact that like all of a sudden Kevin Bacon, who's in love with his wife, is now like, oh, much younger girl who's in her early mid 20s. Like, I'm gonna go for that. I'm sorry, I'm not buying it.
Yeah, I mean, they cover it. It just doesn't feel very well established that he actually isn't that happy with Julianne Moore's character anymore. Um, and he's sneaking off to see his kids. Um, and that's kind of messy, but at the same time, like I think I don't think it's till maybe even the fourth episode where we come to find out that he's just decided he's really just not that into her anymore, right?
Yeah.
Like he just doesn't like her that much, and so he has the opportunity with Simone, and he's got a young girl in front of him, and he's like, oh, I guess I misread the situation or whatever. For me, what actually was less believable was her swerve towards him rather than his towards her. Um,
Okay.
that just didn't, it felt out of place. I thought the whole proposal bit with Glenn Howerton's character uh,
Ridiculous.
was ridiculous, but it was funny. Just like she was just like, no. And he's like, but what?
But you were like as if he was just like she was just a side chick, and then he's like, "Oh, you come from nothing. Now I want to propose to you." It's kind of weird. And this is like
Yeah,
an all-time bachelor, and all of a sudden he's like gonna be like, "I'm ready to
yeah,
settle down for
yeah.
you."
Yeah, it was there's a lot of bits about it that were messy. I think but again, this is another show where I think everybody kind of played their parts pretty well. I think probably the least served actor was Kevin Bacon. I think his character was just kind of bland. Like he was just there to do the things he needed to do, drive the show forward. But I
Sure.
thought Julianne Moore's character was kind of fascinating in the way that she did feel like kind of cult leader-ish, like she
Oh
had
yeah.
this aura about her that drew people in, and either you loved her or you hated her, but
She's like
it
the
was
Regina George of Mean Girls. Like everyone wants to be friends with her, but they know deep down like she's not a good
yeah,
person.
yeah, she sucks for sure.
Yeah, she
Um,
sucks, but everyone knows like being close to her, you can reap the benefits.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, that was weird. I think the only person that really sees through it all is Devin, who's played by Megan
hmm
Thee. She's like, fuck this shit. This is not real. This is ridiculous. Like, why are we all living in La La Land? Like, let's get out of here. She's
yeah,
very sarcastic and like you said, she's a bit of a train wreck, super negative, but also she just wants her sister to come back. She's like, I shouldn't have to take care of my dad all by myself.
yeah.
And yeah, it's really sad. I didn't love it, but I was just like, I had to finish it, and it was quick because it was 5 episodes.
I think that served the show really well too, because it
Yeah.
wasn't the best show, but because the episodes aren't they're relatively short too. I don't even think they're a full hour long each. Um, and because they're a little shorter and
Yeah.
because the show's only 5 episodes, it's a really easy, like I literally watched 4 episodes in a day
Oh yeah.
because which was the last 4 episodes in a day. And because I had that time to watch them and watch them kind of in order,
Sure.
um, it was really good. I just saw this is nominated for 5 Primetime Emmys.
Okay. It
Megan
doesn't deserve it.
Fahey, Megan Fahey is actually nominated.
Nominated. Yeah, I saw.
For
I mean,
anthology series. So it's kind of a weird category. I feel like that category is going to be underserved. And if anybody in the show was going to get an award, I would say her. Maybe actually Millie Alcock. I think
Billy Alcott did a great job.
yeah, she had a lot of range in this because she plays kind of the doe-eyed girl that's fallen in line with this cult thing, but then
Right.
and on the back end of that, like you see all the mess that she's going through. She has scenes where she's just broken, like she's like lying on the floor, and then at the end when
Panic
things go really
attack.
sideways, she
Yeah.
goes catatonic for a minute. Like she plays it really well. I really like the dad. I thought he played kind of the guy that's slipping. I think he played the part really well.
Dementia. Yeah.
um I felt like Glenn
Yeah.
Howard, Glenn Howerton's character Ethan, he
Yeah.
played the part that was given to him just fine. I think there was a lot of weird decisions made by the character, but I think he played them well. Um, but yeah, it's fun enough, and like I say, I think it goes fast enough
hmm
that I feel like you don't realize that it wasn't great until it's over, and then you're like, oh wait, there was probably some problems with this. Um,
I started it and I was like, wow, this is good. And then by the end, I was like, is this, I don't know. I felt like by the end, I was like, this wasn't really that great.
Yeah, that's how I felt about The Perfect Couple too, actually.
Yeah.
Um, like there was things about it that were good, but
Yeah.
overall, like it wasn't great. But the performance in this was solid, and I really liked at the
hmm
end too, where you finally on the ferry at the end, you get
Julianne Moore's character and
yeah,
Megan.
you kind of see who she really is. She's really not as bad as she's been painted out to be the whole time. Which again, when you see who she is at the end. you get an idea of what's going to happen to Millie Alcock's character. You find out you don't see it, but you know what's going to happen to Simone in 10 years.
Right, she's
You know,
gonna check on the ferry
she's
and
yeah, she's gonna be on the ferry. There's gonna be a prenup. She's not gonna have anything. Like she's gonna go through this whole thing. She's gonna live this kind of great life for 10 years, but dude's gonna drift off and either find somebody new or at this point he's old enough he could just kick off, right? But
right.
which for her would be the best thing because she'd probably get stuff out of it, even though a bunch would go to his kids who he's seeing on the side.
Yeah,
Um,
wild.
but like yeah, her ending isn't as like great as she thinks it is. And I think, that is interesting to think about at the end. But by far, I think the best character was Devon. I think Megan Fahey, she
I
did a
think
great
she's the
job.
only realist in this
Hmm.
situation. So, yeah, Millie Alcott's character, I think she's trying to just fill voids in her life that she doesn't
Hmm.
want to face, and that's literally what her character Simone is going through.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
And then she, like you said at the end, she deals with those unresolved daddy issues in the only way somebody in that situation honestly would. Like you present her with the perfect life, and she gets to kind of screw over the person that just screwed her over. Um, because of, and to be fair, due to no fault of her own. Like Julianne Moore's character fires her because she's worried that she's having an affair with her husband, but she didn't start that. Like she was innocent and that dude kissed her, and then she was like, "Whoa." She's like, Michaela is my friend. Like I love Michaela. Like she really does love Michaela. It's the one person when you watch the show that it seems like she genuinely cares
yeah,
about and is interested in. And Julianne Moore's character, to the best of her ability, actually really cares about Simone.
yeah,
And so there's a tragedy there too that this man came in and wrecked both of their setup, but then to get revenge on Michaela, uh, Simone is she throws everybody into the bus, and then ultimately comes out, quote unquote, on top by marrying the billionaire, or not marrying, but at least spending the rest of the day with a billionaire. We don't know for sure what's going to happen,
yeah.
but
We don't know what's going to happen there, but I think she does like him though. But maybe she just likes the attention that he gives her.
yeah.
That's again part of the daddy issues, I
Hmm.
think.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's sad, but yeah, it was okay. Could have
Yeah,
done
it's
with
okay. Like I wouldn't tell anybody to not watch it. And
yeah,
like I said, I think one of the things that makes it exceptionally watchable is that it's quick, right?
yeah.
Like it does go really fast. And I think, like I said, but by the time you realize it's not great, you're almost done. So you're like, screw it, I'm just going to finish
Might as
this.
well just finish it up.
Yeah.
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 Right.
So I mean, it's fun, and a lot of the performances are great, and Megan Fahey really does do a great job. And I think, like you said, I think Millie Alcock does too. I think you see a lot of range from her, but it's not the best. I mean, this really does feel like a lighter version of something like The Perfect Couple, which was not heavier, but a little heavier than this. Like this definitely has a lot of comedy to it.
Yeah. Or how
Um,
about the fact that like when Ethan falls off the cliffs and then he survives and he's like, yeah, that's hysterical. He's like, you pushed me, and she's like, I didn't push you.
yeah, yeah. He's like, you did this to me, and she's like, dude, I wasn't even there. You were drunk.
You were drunk and you fell
Yeah,
off. Yeah.
yeah,
Crazy.
yeah. So I mean, yeah, it's a fun one, but not the best one. But if again, it's the summer, so if you got nothing else to watch, I mean, you can throw it down, and like I said, it goes quick, so that is a benefit of this one. But um, all in all, not the greatest of series, but not terrible, and some solid performances. So. All right, well, we can move on from Sirens. And I think, why don't you cover The Life List, which is on
Yes.
Netflix?
So, a heartfelt movie, like very much so something that you would see on, I think, like a Hallmark type of channel, gives you all the feels. But have you seen P.S. I Love You?
No, I've heard of it,
Gerard
but I
Butler and Hilary Swank.
okay, yeah, I've heard of it. I haven't seen it, but I have
Very
heard of it.
similar. This movie was very similar to P.S. I Love You, except for instead of like a lover to his wife or a man to his wife, this was a mother who's played by Connie Britton, who is given not a lot of time to live. And at the beginning of the film, she gets together and has a party with her two sons and then daughter, who's played by Sophia Carson, who was in the movie Carry On, which came
Okay,
out a
yeah,
few
yeah.
months ago. Yeah, so she tells her daughter, that she has cancer again, it's returning, and this isn't gonna be something that she's gonna be able to beat this time. So you see them in bed together, like enjoying each other's company, and then figure a few months later, she's gone. They're at the funeral, and they then go to the attorney's office like a few days later to go over who gets what and go through the will. And the brothers get like some pretty good stuff between what's I think like so this woman had her own business, which was great. So in the will, like she fires her daughter from the company. She gives her one of her daughter-in-laws like the role of the marketing person. And then she gives her sons like I think like a good amount of money and like good situations. And then it makes like the way the lawyer presents everything, the lawyer's name is Brad. He's like, but I do need to speak with the daughter alone after she goes through the list to go over what she gets. So he's in a room with the main character, Sophia Carson's daughter, and says, your mother gave me this list and a DVD that I needed to watch. So she goes home and watches the DVD, and the DVD says, hey, like you've changed a lot over the years. And here's a list that you made from like childhood or preteen years. I need you to complete everything on this list. And each time you complete something, there's going to be another DVD. It's sort of almost like a scavenger hunt that she has to set out. And it's literally everything from um, performing stand-up comedy to becoming a teacher to just like a different list of and like almost like the bucket list in terms of just things to
Mm.
do to cross off the list. And each time she crosses off the list, her mom, like her lawyer, gives her another thing to like a new challenge and a new video. So very much so like P.S. I Love You. Like she's going through each and every one of these parts of the list, and like the last one is fall in love. So yeah, it's bittersweet and definitely like I shed some tears just hearing it, and a lot of goes into it. I don't want to give it away, but she ends up getting like more than she thought she was actually gonna get from the will, and it wasn't something that was read aloud to everybody.
Mm.
At first when they hear the will, she's like, my mom didn't like leave me anything. She just left me a piece of paper. Like, what was she thinking? And her mom's saying, like, I know you're gonna be pissed and like don't freak out, but I promise this will all end up, everything will end up going well. And during this film, she falls for one guy and then another guy comes into the picture. So it's just there's definitely like a little bit of a love triangle happening. And she's also finding herself, and it's fascinating. So I definitely enjoyed the film. It definitely gives all the feels that you would expect, similar to P.S. I Love You, and you really admire and realize that not everything is gonna last forever. Nothing lasts forever, and to appreciate your time with your loved ones So it explores that and it goes through this young woman's love for her mom and then how she bonds with her brothers and is able to remember the good times that they had with their mother. And along the way, she learns a lot about herself as well as secrets are exposed as well in some of these videos. So she finds out like her dad is not actually her dad, someone else is her dad, and her mom had an affair with a guy. So she goes on a road trip with one of the guys and gets to meet her biological father, which is crazy to say, like, because she's in her, I don't know, late 20s, early 30s at this point, and her mom never told her, hey, like, your dad is not your real dad. So, yeah, it's interesting. Definitely, I wouldn't be like, oh, it's award worthy or anything like that, but very similar to a Hallmark movie. Looked cute from the previews,
Mhm.
and certainly something that I think has a lot of, some laughs, some sadness, and, good pieces too. All the feels.
Yeah, it's funny because this is one of those ones where it feels like I don't know, the critics had a different expectation than everybody that watched it. Because I mean, your review sounds relatively positive, like you enjoyed it.
Yeah,
It's a 6.8 on IMDb, which is
not
feels
bad.
kind of how you put it, on Rotten Tomatoes, 71% from the audience, so that same kind of rating,
Mhm.
46% from the critics. And I feel like this is something where I don't understand what the critics are going into thinking about a movie when you see that this divide where all the people that watched it for the entertainment of it really enjoyed it. When you're critiquing it, like I get if you're like nitpicking about the way something was made or something like that, maybe you come in harsher as a critic, but it's like when people critique a horror film, like you've got to know your genre before you critique it. Or when we talked about biographies, right? Like if you're taking liberties with the biography, but you make a great movie, it should be reviewed as a movie, not a biography. So like the critics come in and they're like, well, this wasn't how their life was at all. And so they give it a bad review, but then everybody that watches it really enjoys it. Like what it's an interesting thing. So um yeah, it's funny to see this rated by the people that watched it really well, but then the critics kind of panned it. So it's interesting to see in that regard. But it does look like it has a very specific audience. Like you said, this is a Hallmarky, lifetimey kind of movie, probably happier
Pretty
than
much.
Lifetime. But
Yeah.
um, and if you watch I remember for some reason I saw some of this preview, and I do remember like there's an opening scene that they make. I don't know opening, but there's a scene that they make pretty funny where it's in the with the reading of the will, and she finds out she gets screwed over, right? Like her brothers get this and they get that, and then she's like, "Wait, I got nothing." Like,
Yeah.
and in the trailer, it's hilarious. Like, it comes across really funny. So you get, I don't know, it feels like you get an idea of what this movie is even right there. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, it doesn't look like it would be that bad, and it sounds like it is exactly what it was advertised to be. So, if you go in with that expectation, it sounds like you'll enjoy it just fine.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm reading some of these reviews, and I mean, it is a bit of a tearjerker, but I think it's also just very important to reflect on the life of loved ones that have passed. And I think it does, in a very beautiful way, showcase how much this woman clearly loved her daughter, that she didn't just leave her something in the will, but she made this into like a little journey of its own in order for her daughter to realize like all the good that she has in her life and maybe just the more growth that she needs to make and that she wants to see in her daughter after she leaves this earth. So yeah, I thought it was good. And I'm not a big rom-com girl. I didn't even really consider it too much of a rom-com, even there was, so some romance, but it's definitely like, it's a Hallmark type of film, but
yeah,
it's on Netflix and I don't know, I thought it was good. I liked it.
yeah, yeah. So. Very cool. Well, I will close out the show with another a movie that is like a sci-fi horror flick, and it's called Ash. And I remember seeing the trailer for this. It's another one that has kind of a tight cast. Primarily, the two main characters we really spend time with are Aisa Gonzalez and Aaron Paul. And this movie is about this mission to another planet, or to search for another planet. Earth is dying. We're trying to find a new place to send civilization. There's a handful of different planets that are being explored, and this is one of them. And the movie opens up with Aiza Gonzalez waking up in this space station that they've set, or this landing pod that they've set on this planet, and everybody around her is dead. And she doesn't know why. She's lost most, if not all, of her memory. Um, she doesn't know what's going on, and so she's trying to figure that out. And then Aaron Paul's character shows up, and he's like, "Yeah, we've got to get out of here. We've got to get off of this planet. Something's wrong." And so the whole movie is her figuring out what happened, almost like something like Memento, if you've ever watched that, where we've kind of seen time going back and forth. Memento is miles better than this movie. Memento is fantastic. If you've never seen it, definitely go watch that. That movie's incredible. This is okay. Um, I This is a movie that I feel like was ambitious and didn't really hit the marks that it was going for. Another one where I think Aaron Paul and Isaac Gonzalez did a great job. Um, in the characters they were given, arguably Aaron Paul has less screen time to eat up than Isaac Gonzalez is mostly spent with her. Um, but one of the reasons they land on this planet, they're looking at this planet, and um, they find out that somehow it's being terraformed, like an atmosphere is being created on this planet. So if they can figure out what's happening here, understand that the technology and take it, they can fix, other worlds, and make it a place for human beings to survive. And so they're on this planet. Turns out there's an alien race here that attacks them, and everything goes sideways. And as we start to back and forth between Isa Gonzalez's characters, her name is Ria, as we start to bounce back and forth between where the discussions that Ria is having with Aaron Paul's character and what she remembers, she starts to remember that she actually killed the people that are dead, but she doesn't know why. And so we're still kind of bouncing back and forth between different parts of the story, trying to put things together and see what she went through, and what happened. And like, I don't necessarily want to spoil it, but it's ultimately not a great movie. It's the parts are better than the sum of the movie. Like the way that it comes together just doesn't really work. Visually, it has a very specific appeal. It's got this very kind of neon pink and blue kind of feel to it. And it's everywhere. So it's visually very specific. There's some things that like they throw into the movie visually that they're trying to do artistically that are there, but they don't make sense. Like the one of the first scenes, she's outside and they show this weird, almost like metallic spiral in the sky, but they never explain it, and then it doesn't happen again, and it's just there to be visually interesting. So in a lot of ways, this feels like a movie that was meant to be artistically a horror film. And it is visually very pretty, and the effects are solid. Um, and in a lot of ways, some of these visuals are almost stunning. Like it looks great, but it's like this kind of empty greatness. It's visually really nice, but it doesn't serve the film in any way. So it's somebody that had this vision that just couldn't put it together. And I think um, it wasn't ultimately a particularly great movie. On IMDb, it's a 4.6, which is not great. And by the way, this is on Shudder. So if you want to watch it right now, I think the only place you can watch it is Shudder. Um,
Did
you
it come out
know,
in theaters or was this a TV movie?
I think it was in theaters. Let me see. But I think it was really, really limited.
Okay.
Let me see. Yeah, it did release at the box office. It made $1 million, just over $1 million total. It didn't release outside of the US.
Mm.
Um, and I do think it was a pretty limited release. I don't think it was in a lot of theaters. I remember seeing a trailer for it and being interested again because of these actors and because it had a look to it. It definitely looked interesting. And unfortunately, that look carries through, but it doesn't make the movie any better.
Right.
Um, and so, like for me, when I see something that's like science fiction horror in space, I want something like Alien, which in a lot of ways this is closer to, or I want something like Event Horizon, which is crazy horror
Right.
in space, which I love. Um, and this was definitely not that. This ultimately leans more towards something like Alien, in the way that it builds suspense and does stuff. But uh, this would have been a better movie if they had spent less time on the background visuals and more time on the story. Um, so I mean, all in all, like I don't necessarily recommend it, but I didn't hate it. It just didn't feel like it did anything. The most redeeming point of the entire movie is actually in the mid-credit scene. There's one extra scene during the credits that kind of makes it all worthwhile in that I'll just spoil it because I don't think anybody's going to go watch this movie. And if you do, if you want to watch it, stop here. Don't listen to me say anything else about it. But so what happens during the movie is we come to find out that Rhea, played by um, Isa Gonzalez, she the base that she's on got infected by some kind of entity. It took over their computers, and then it started getting into people's brains. It got into this one guy, and it's a single parasite, but it gets into this one guy, and he goes crazy. So she had to kill him to save herself. So she wasn't just out there hacking and slashing and murdering people in her memories. In her memories, she was actually seeing herself defend herself from the people effectively possessed by this parasite. So she fights off and kills the one guy. It jumps into another guy who turns out to be like her love interest in the past, like maybe a fiance or something. And so she has to kill him. Then she fights off somebody else. And then what we come to find out is that it does, in fact, get into her. And so Aaron Paul's character that she's been seeing through the whole movie is actually this parasite making her see something that she can communicate with. And Aaron Paul has been dead the whole time. Like he got killed by one of the infected people earlier in the movie than we knew. And so the goal of this thing that's taking over, basically says your race is weak. Your race sucks, and you're going to do better off with us taking over, your people. And that was kind of the whole point of it, trying to coax her onto the ship and back to the space station that's above because it wanted to get its parasite off so that it could then infect more people. Well, she gets it out of her body, gets in the ship, and starts flying towards the space station. And so, we see her towards the space station. She seems relieved, credits roll. And you're like, oh, okay, she's going to get away. Well, during the mid-credit scene, we see her start to dock with the station, and it pans to the backside of the station, and we see this thing crawling all over the station. So it's basically already infected. So it's going to get out and spread. So like there's this dark kind of quality horror ending that they just threw into the end credits almost as an afterthought, which made it a better horror film than her just getting away and being happy at the end. Like ultimately humanity loses is kind of the gist of it. This thing is going to get out and get to more people. Um, and that makes it far more interesting than the way that it does end, where it feels like it's a happy ending for her, or as happy as it can be. Like she went through a bunch of shit, and everybody she knew died, including her love interest. But yeah, I thought it was okay. I definitely it's interesting. The critics See, this is another one. The critics loved it. 71% from the critics, but 54% from the audience and like a 4.8 on IMDb. So I think the critics were wowed by the visuals, which were great, and the very artsy feel of it, but it didn't make for a great movie. And I think it really there was some potential there and it could have been a lot better, but um yeah, just overall wasn't that great. I don't know that I have any interest necessarily in watching more from the director whose name is Flying Lotus. Um, he directed this. He directed some stuff in the VHS series. But like if I actually look down um, his kind of history, like he doesn't have a whole lot more than like a 6 in the ratings of the stuff that he's created. It looks like he started doing music videos, which actually makes a lot of sense to me. Oh wait, this is actually as composer. As director, I don't even see a listing for other things he's directed. So,
Did it
yeah,
feel very low budget, or was it like a high budget? I'm just curious, just based on what you're explaining, it sounds like it would be a high budget movie.
I don't know what the budget was because I feel like a lot of the effects that would make it look higher budget were just lighting. Like it feels like the artsiness of it is very much lighting. When they're out on a set and they've actually left the station, like that
Right.
feels like a soundstage. It doesn't feel like they spent a lot of money there. And the special effects, the visual effects, while they
Mhm.
look solid, I can see them having been done pretty inexpensively. There's nothing that is like we're not talking CGI characters in a lot of places, and the places where you do see the parasite, those don't look as great. Like the parasite itself doesn't look that great.
Sure.
But yeah, I think the setting of it is what makes it sci-fi, and the lighting is what gives it its mood. So yeah, probably was pretty low budget. I doubt that it made its money back if it only made $1 million. I mean, Isaac Gonzalez is up and coming. Aaron Paul's been around for a while. Like they're not cheap.
Yeah.
But I think it ending up on Shudder is not a bad place for it. I think I don't know how streaming services work, but I imagine you get paid per view of the movie, right? When you put it on a streaming service.
Sure.
So it'll probably make some of its money back there too. Uh, but there's just better sci-fi horror offerings out there. It definitely, there are moments in it that are really good. And it is visually interesting. Like I said, that just doesn't serve the movie ultimately. So, yeah, it's okay. It's okay. And if you're looking for a horror flick and you got nothing else and you're looking for something new, it's interesting, but it's not great. And like I said, the things there was just stuff thrown in there that just didn't do anything. They were just there to be cool looking.
Mhm.
And so yeah, it was only okay. I think actually, does this say, yeah, it was nominated for an award. Oh, it's South by Southwest Film Festival,
Okay.
where it got an audience award, but it definitely was not award worthy. I do think Isa Gonzalez did a great job. She was really
Yeah.
interesting. Um, Aaron Paul was good in his part, but it was small. And he was just kind of Aaron Paul-ish. So I don't think he was necessarily stretched in it, but he wasn't bad in it either. But she did a good job leading this. Like I can see her, I can see kind of the trajectory of her career as she's starting to do more roles that are pushing her a little bit. I think that'll be good for her. So yeah, not great, but it was good for her. And I think there's other you know other better films out there. So you don't have to watch it. If you got nothing else to watch, it won't kill you, but it's definitely not as good as it looks. So,
Yeah.
but but yeah, so I don't have anything else. I think we covered everything you had.
Yes, you did.
So I will we'll close out. We'll say next week Andrew will probably be back. So next week I feel like next week is going to be like the the recap show of all the things that Andrew watched in the month that he was out. Hopefully he'll see Fantastic Four before then because you're going to see that, so we can kind of talk about that again, but with a more more of a conversation and more spoilers. We can hear Andrew's take on Superman and
Well, we already heard Andrew's take on
oh,
Superman.
he did join us for Superman. That's right. Dude, I have no idea
Ellen.
what happened. I'm old and crazy. So yeah. So then he can talk about Fantastic Four, and I actually don't think he probably didn't see Jurassic Park. So that may be the only thing we really catch up with him on that we've already talked about. So may have a better review of Fantastic Four next week. With having three people watched it.
Sure.
Um, but otherwise, yeah, I don't have anything else. I don't know what's coming out in the next week. I know I'm actually excited. Twisted Metal comes back for season 2 on Peacock, which I really enjoyed the first season of. That's Anthony Mackie and oh God, Stephanie Beatrice from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and that one was a lot of fun. I feel like there's something else coming that I just saw that I'm kind of excited about. So there's a couple things dropping this week that might be fun. Nothing new in the theater besides, Fantastic Four. Do you have anything that you're looking forward to in the next week?
That would have been super, I was gonna say Fantastic Four. I don't know. No, I'll have to find something.
Yeah.
Start something new. Or maybe watch another Hallmark type movie. I don't
Hey,
know.
there's always one. You could just go to Hallmark. There's hundreds of them.
Yeah, not really my genre, but I don't know. This looked really sweet, and I don't know.
Well, I
I
can
kind of
tell
want to
it's I can tell it's not the Hallmark formula because if you go watch Hallmark movies, just as a science experiment, go watch 5 or 6 Hallmark movies, and you will realize that there is a definite pattern in all of the movies. Like almost to the minute, you can tell when something plot-wise is going to happen. By the time you get
right.
to that last one, you're like, okay, this is where the guy meets the
Yeah,
girl. This is where the guy and the girl start to like each
yeah,
other. This is where they have their falling out. This is where they like very formulaic.
yeah. No, totally. I think what captured my interest from the preview was more just like the P.S. I love you, just losing someone who means a lot, and then being able to hold on to a piece of them for one last time in the form of the video journey and scavenger hunt,
Mm.
more or less. So it follows that storyline very similarly, and I really like that movie. So yeah, that's why I watched it. So I don't know, but been watching Marvelous Mrs. Maisel because I never really got to
Oh,
watch,
that's
and
good.
I think seeing Rachel Brosnahan in this in Superman made me want to watch more of her stuff, and I know that's like where she got her big start from. So I just started watching that. It's cute. Definitely um I can relate being a Jewish woman in Manhattan on the Upper East versus the Upper West, but this takes place in the 50s, but I think it's cool. I like learning about maybe not the comedy piece because I don't think like everything she's like the actual acts themselves are that funny, but maybe it's just the times.
Well, what's interesting too is that you meet God, what's his name? Benny. You won't meet him in the first one, but anyways, the comic that she um, falls in with that's is really funny. I cannot remember his name, but he's a real comic. So a
Uh,
lot of the there's a good hint of things that happen in the show are real. Her character is not real,
sure,
but a lot of the other characters are.
sure.
And that's really interesting. And the longer it goes on for me, the better that show got.
Okay.
It was good in the first season. I think that, how far are you in it?
I'm only like 5 or 6 episodes in the first season, but it's
Okay.
interesting because like it's a pretty good cast.
Hmm.
Like I just saw Jane Lynch in the most recent episode, which I was like,
She's
that's
so good in that.
hysterical. She is so funny. And Mike Zegan, who plays her husband, I
Hmm.
saw stage play off Broadway in the fall, and I realized, oh wow, that's the guy from the Penguin. He
Yes.
played one of the son. He like dies in the first episode.
Yep. Yep. Yeah,
They have to shoot them.
it's got a great cast. It's got in later seasons, it's got Levi right before he went crazy. And he's really good in it. I think Susie is my favorite
Mhm.
character. She gets so great. Like there's a whole story arc where they're stuck at this like camp, or she ends up stuck at this camp in the woods. And I mean, she's so funny. She's so good. And the last season, and I'm not gonna spoil anything, but there's some really emotional moments in the last season that hit so well. I think you'll really enjoy it. Is it 5 seasons, 4 seasons?
5 seasons. I feel like it's going to take me a while, but I just started watching because I'm like, oh, I have time. The past like 2 days, so I watched like 1, 2 episodes a night, and
Yeah,
yeah,
it's 43 episodes and they're about an hour each. So yeah, it'll take you a little bit to get through it, but
it's taken me a few months, but it's yeah. I know everyone like I haven't heard one bad thing about it. Everyone that I know has watched it, has loved it. So yeah, and just being a woman in Manhattan,
and
like
I
get
love
to
the
that.
parents too. Number one, Tony Shalhoub is amazing as he's her dad. The mom is hilarious. And then the husband's parents, Kevin Pollak, I love.
Mm,
The mom um is that it must be Caroline Aaron, but she's great. Like the parents are awesome. But yeah, Susie is by far my favorite character. She's incredible. And then Lenny Bruce is the name of the character, the guy that she kind of falls in with that is a comedian, but he was a real comedian. And some of his stand up is
excellent.
fantastic. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's a winner. And when you get to the end, like just to say, like the season finale, I think is a 9.5 on IMDb, and I think that's pretty on the nose. Like it's really really good. So I'm actually really excited for you that you're watching it because it like looking at it looks like everything in the first season is like around an 8.
Okay,
Um, and then from there,
it
I
gets
think it
better.
just gets better and better and better. I think the whole second season takes place or a lot of it takes place at their camp in the Catskills.
Um,
Um, and so, yeah, it's just good. It's just really good. So I'm excited you're watching that.
yeah,
Um,
perfect. But yeah, that's all I have really going on.
it's not nothing, you know. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I said, every episode's about 45 minutes to an hour, so it'll take you a while to get
I might
through them.
want to watch The Amateur too, which has her and um Rami Malek. I heard that was good. I never got to see that in theaters.
Was that in the theater?
That was in the theater. Yeah, I think it just came to streaming, so I might
I
want
want
to
to say
watch
it's
that.
Netflix that has it. Maybe it's
I'll just
Hulu.
find it. Or Hulu. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the two. Yeah, I saw that pop up, and I haven't watched it yet, but
Yeah.
um, yeah, just good stuff. So yeah, check that
Cool.
stuff out, and we'll definitely find stuff to watch with Andrew back and an extra person. We'll have more than enough content.
For
I
sure.
think one other thing too about Miss Maisel, since you're watching it, is that's Amy Sherman Palladino,
Yep.
who is a fantastic writer. She is the creator of the Gilmore Girls,
Correct. That's
and
what I read.
you can tell. Have you ever seen Gilmore Girls?
No.
I've seen bits and pieces of it. I've never like religiously watched it. But Amy Sherman Palladino is huge on dialogue. She's one of the few people that gets away with putting a ton of dialogue in her scripts. And you can see it, like the banter between, especially when you get Susie and Midge together, like the way they fire back and forth is very much how the Gilmore Girls is. And they said that um, the scripts for the Gilmore Girls were so much longer than scripts for anything else that the two actresses had done. They had to learn how to speak faster so they could make those scripts work because of the dialogue that Amy Sherman Palladino writes is quick and it is witty and it is sharp and you've got to be able to hit it. And you can just tell, like if you've seen Gilmore Girls, and now if you go back from watching Miss Maisel to watching the Gilmore Girls, you can tell who wrote these two shows. Like it's a very specific type of writing.
Gotcha.
And she's a talented writer for sure. So yeah, so keep enjoying that. We can
She
talk
wrote
about
and
it.
directed it.
Yes, yeah,
That's impressive.
yeah, she's an impressive lady. Like Gilmore Girls is her jam. I mean, I know other people directed certain episodes of probably both shows, but overall, she directed and wrote most of Miss Maisel. She directed and show ran and wrote most of Gilmore Girls. So
Cool.
yeah,
Love that.
so cool. Well, with that, I will say thank you to everybody for watching. Thank you for listening. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time.